Now, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Marcia Garland, Roy Nance, and Jason Powell to the stage, along with our first Spark players, as they tell us about the birth of our national anthem in a tableau vignette entitled, "Oh Say, Can You See?" Let's welcome.
On September 14th, 1814, U.S. soldiers at Baltimore's Fort McHenry raised a huge American flag to celebrate a crucial victory over the British forces during the War of 1812. The sight of those broad stripes and bright stars inspired Francis Scott Key to write a song that eventually became the United States national anthem. Key's words gave new significance to a national symbol and started a tradition through which generations of Americans have invested the flag with their own meanings and memories. Tonight we celebrate its bicentennial with a tableau telling the story of this great song. Although its events inspired one of the nation's most famous patriotic songs, the War of 1812 is a relatively little-known war in American history. Despite its complicated causes and inconclusive outcome, the conflict helped establish the credibility of the young United States among other nations. It fostered a strong sense of national pride among the American people, and those patriotic feelings are reflected and preserved in the song we know today as the U.S. national anthem. In the early stages of the war, the American Navy scored victories in the Atlantic and on Lake Erie, while the British concentrated its military efforts on its ongoing war with France. But with the defeat of Emperor Napoleon's armies in April 1814, Britain turned its full attention to the war against an ill-prepared United States. Angered by British interference with American trade, the young United States was intent on reaffirming its recently won independence. Instead, a series of defeats left Americans anxious and demoralized. They were stunned when on August 24, 1814, British troops marched into Washington, D.C. and set the Capitol building and the White House on fire. America's future seemed more uncertain than ever as the British set their sights on Baltimore, Maryland, a vital seaport. On September 13, 1814, British warships began firing bombs and rockets on Fort McHenry, which protected the city's harbor. The bombardment continued for 25 hours while the nation awaited news of Baltimore's fate. Attorney Francis Scott Key witnessed the 25-hour bombardment of Fort McHenry from a British troop ship anchored some 4 miles away. He had boarded the ship to negotiate the release of an American civilian imprisoned by the British and had been detained aboard as the bombardment began. On September 14, 1814, as the dawn's early light revealed a flag flying over the fort, Key exultantly began jotting down the lines of the song that became our national anthem. Key was a gifted amateur poet Inspired by the sight of the American flag flying over Fort McHenry the morning after the bombardment, he scribbled the initial verse of his song on the back of a letter. Back in Baltimore, he completed the 4 verses and copied them onto a sheet of paper, probably making more than 1 copy. A local printer issued the new song as a broadside. Shortly afterward, 2 Baltimore newspapers published it, and by mid-October, it had appeared in at least 17 other papers in cities up and down the East Coast. The melody Francis Scott Key used for his song was the popular English tune known as Anacreon in Heaven. Greek poet, noted for his praise of love and wine. Written about 1775 by John Stafford Smith, the tune was originally the constitutional song of the Anachronatic Society, a gentleman's music club in London. Often referred to as the Second War of Independence, the War of 1812 inspired a fresh wave of patriotism in a generation too young to remember the Revolution. When Key declared that our flag was still there, he fused the physical symbol of the nation with universal feelings of patriotism, courage, and resilience. By giving the flag a starring role in one of the most celebrated victories of the war, Francis Scott Key's song established a new prominence for the flag as an expression of national identity, unity, and pride. And by giving it a name, that Star-Spangled Banner, Key transformed the official emblem into something familiar and evocative, a symbol that Americans could connect with and claim as their own. The flag was no longer just an emblem of the nation. It became a representation of the country's values and the ideals for which it stood. The attack on Fort Sumter, South Carolina, in April 1861 launched the nation into civil war and brought about lasting changes in how Americans viewed and used the Star-Spangled Banner. Although throughout Key's song, an earlier generation had come to appreciate the flag's value as an inspiring and unified national symbol. The Civil War not only revived that patriotic attachment to the flag, but expanded and intensified it, fostering a spirit of reverence and devotion that would endure for generations to come. Entwined with the war to redefine the United States and what it should stand for, the flag became the primary icon of national identity and ideals, infused with meanings and memories from all sides of the conflict.
For the dear old flag I die, said the wounded drummer boy. Mother, press your lips to mine, oh, they bring me peace and joy. 'Tis the last time on the earth I shall ever see your face. Mother, take me to your heart, let me die in your embrace. For the dear old flag I die, Mother, dry your weeping eye. For the honor of our land and the dear old flag I die.
During the 19th century, the Star-Spangled Banner became one of the nation's best-loved patriotic songs. It gained special significance during the Civil War, a time when many Americans turned to music to express their feelings for the flag and their ideals and values it presented. By the 1890s, the military had adopted the song for ceremonial purposes, requiring it to be played at the raising and lowering of the colors. Despite its widespread popularity, the Star-Spangled Banner did not become the national anthem until 1931. In the years since 1814, in times of celebration and crisis, pride and protest, people have raised the flag and sung Francis Scott Key's song to express their ideas about what it means to be an American. Please rise now and join us in the singing of our national anthem.
You may be seated.
Our ushers are going to come in a few moments and receive an offering, and we do thank you for the support that you give us at Chautauqua. This is, all these funds go, of course, to help promote Chautauqua, to put it on, and this just doesn't happen overnight. I don't know if you realize that. We didn't get together yesterday morning and say, what do you want to do tomorrow? So anyway, we do thank you for your support in this, and may God bless. May we have a blessing over our offering as we receive it. We thank you, O God, for your blessing and for the love you give us, and now the opportunity to offer our gifts to you and to this program. We're honored. And so bless the gift and the giver. In Christ we pray. Amen. many of you were at the recent men's shelter fundraiser? Several of you were. Yeah, what a great night. And if you weren't there, you missed out. And if you were there, you got to see our next act. You know, that fundraiser received over $5,000. And we thank the people of Frankfurt for supporting that. It was a great evening. So let's set the stage. Imagine living in the early 1900s. You may have lived in the city, may have lived out in the country. Electricity was a new commodity. Cars were buzzing all over our newly paved streets. Baseball was America's sport. And swing music was hot in everybody's ears, and you would make sacrifices to get to hear the sounds of Jelly Roll Morton and Bix Beiderbecke. I just love saying Bix Beiderbecke. Bessie Smith, and of course the great Louis Armstrong. If you close your eyes, you may actually hear some of those sounds.
hot sevens, and if you're really good at math, you'll realize there are 8 of us up here. We only count to 4 and then we start all over again, musicians, so you know how it works. But and this is actually the second time we've ever played. The first was the last men's shelter event, and we liked it so much, we thought, well, let's do it again. So here we are, so thanks for having us. The songs that you're going to obviously be hearing tonight are of this era, the early 1920s and 30s, and back when swing was just starting, and it's going to be a lot of Louis Armstrong and Jelly Roll Morton and Bix Beiderbecke and Frank Trumbauer, names that none of our kids know, but hopefully we can keep alive for at least the night. So the first song that we did was a famous Louis Armstrong song he made famous, I think in about 1928 or so, called Hotter Than That. And it's hotter than that. It's a great song and a lot of fun to play. And we heard just a snippet of him with that at the very beginning. And then right after that, in Louis' first group called the Hot Five, he later became the Hot Seven. He got popular and could add a few more people. But the Hot Five originally had a trombone player in it named Kid Ory. And we have our own Kid Ory right there in David Henderson. Later he'll become Jack Teagarden, but right now he's Kid Ory. And the song that he was featured on was called Ory's Creole Trombone, so great hit. The next song we're going to play for you is a famous Bix Beiderbecke song. Bix Beiderbecke, he came from the hotbed of jazz, Davenport, Iowa. Yeah. His father was a Presbyterian minister, and he went running. Seriously, his father, he and his father did not have a very good relationship because of his love of jazz, and he went on to play, and he unfortunately died early in life. He'd only lived to be 31 or 2 or so, but in that time, joined up with another famous jazz musician, Frank Trumbauer, and they recorded the next song entitled Singin' the Blues. We're going to swing the blues. And this transcription that you're hearing tonight is hot off the press by our own Keith McAllen, who transcribed this. And so we're going to play you the original thing. Here we go, Swingin' the Blues. Thank you very much. David Henderson on trombone, Keith McAlilly on the clarinet there, and I was supposed to scat and I forgot in the middle of that, but that's okay. That was the West End Blues, and that tune actually was nominated back in the late 70s as the Hall of Fame for jazz albums. Some people think that the album that was on, made in 1928 by Louis Armstrong and the Hot Five, was the most influential jazz album of all time. It had Hotter Than That on it eventually, and West End Blues, and the introduction there that had the trumpet solo. Every trumpet player, it's a rite of passage. You have to learn that solo, and you have to play it, and you have to play it exactly the way Louis did. So someday I'll play it just like Louis. We're very blessed with great people in our community. Everybody here lives in our town, minus David, who lives in Lexington, but we claim him. And most importantly, I guess, because he's sitting next to me, is Mr. Keith McAlilly, who's the pastor at Bridgeport Christian Church. Let me see if you're from Bridgeport Christian Church. Yeah. Keith told me that if you're here tonight, you can take next Sunday off. He was going to take it off too. That was his thing, but he said, you're good. Keith, I've known Keith for a couple of years now since he's been here. We played some musicals together, and he's a great musician. Went to Florida State and got a music ed degree, and then went to Eastman and got a media arts degree. Is that right? Something like that. And then you realize that neither one of those did anything for you. So here he is tonight. But he's going to lay out the James P. Johnson. If you're into the Harlem Stride, he's going to give his, and thank goodness he's left-handed, right? Are you left-handed? Are you left-handed? No, all right. Well, good luck, man. Oh no, here we go. Give the preacher a microphone.
It's ironic that the preacher is playing this music that you would have been condemned for listening to back in the day. But what's important about Carolina Shout is, you know, if West End Blues is the solo the trumpet players are supposed to know, this is the solo that all the piano players are supposed to know. And this is the piece that, you know, guys like Duke Ellington and Fats Waller would slow down the piano rolls that James P. Johnson had made, who was Fats Waller's teacher, and put their fingers in the keys to follow along. I didn't do that. I used the computer software to slow it down and do that. But yeah, this is the piece everyone's supposed to play. And so when I finally learned this at Eastman, everyone went, and this, because everybody had forgotten about it. I found it for you.
The Carolina Shout. Yes. Who's been to church now? Yeah.
When we play that for offertory.
Sure, man. Absolutely. Gosh.
He was
Wow.
anxious this morning, and now I know why.
That's exactly right. Wow, we had never heard that. You might make some of yourself someday, man. Way to go. Jeez. All right. Yeah, I know. Tune that thing again, man. All right. Well, we're going to follow that one up with something cool. One of the standards of the jazz literature from this time in particular is the St. James Infirmary. You ever heard of the St. James? Yeah. Y'all don't have a clue what I'm talking about. St. James Infirmary is actually a centuries-old song, and matter of fact, it was old. I think it was called like the Rakes something. It was an old folk song, and it had lyrics, and it had to do with England, as the story goes, and I think it was about the St. James Infirmary, which was an infirmary or a hospital for those with leprosy. And eventually, I think Henry V would come out on that same site and tear it down and build St. James Palace. But so the story goes is the lyrics of the St. James Infirmary talks about this soldier who evidently was promiscuous in his ways and earning a living, and he wouldn't spend his money wisely. He would spend it on things that maybe would not be church-like. Yeah, church-like. Penicillin wasn't around back then, so it was not a good thing. So we're going to play the St. James Infirmary, and I think it's appropriate that my wife sing this song. Meredith Gillis. Meredith Gillis. That's not how we met, by the way. I'll throw that in there. You know about David, you know about Keith, you know about Meredith. Meredith's the new choir director at Western Hills High School. Go Wolverines. On the drum set is my best buddy in the whole wide world and the best jambalaya cook you would ever know. Yeah, it takes orders. Donnie Estel. On the tuba, my 6th grade band director. There you go. There you go. Mr. Lee Coward. And on the banjo, guitar, whatever you call that thing, banjo with a guitar neck, the only person who I let touch my teeth, Dr. Will Renshaw. I have the standing rule that all my doctors have to be musicians. I'm actually not lying about that. And the lovely and talented Miss Hollis Rosenstein on piano. Everywhere I go, Hollis has a fan club. She does. You can't get her name out until everybody's screaming. She's the best. All right, the next tune we're going to do for you is another one of Louis' famous Hot 5 tunes called Cornet Chop Suey. And if you see my lips on the bottom of the floor here in a minute, we'll see what about Chop Suey. The next tune we're going to do is another Keith transcription of a famous Jelly Roll Morton song. And as he talked about, Jelly Roll was one of the famous early pianists of the day. And I think we saw a little Jelly Roll, didn't we, before the show? Yeah, Your Feet's Too Big. That's the name of that song. Was that right? Is that Fats? Oh, I got the, sorry. That's right, yeah. Cornet, chop suey, Jelly Roll Morton. Yeah, I'm getting them all mixed up. All my food stuff. I'm hungry. So, the next tune we're going to do is called Black Bottom Stomp, and this is one of the standards of the literature, and you just got to do it. So we're going to. And thanks to Keith for listening for hours. You all thought he was writing sermons, didn't you? Yeah. Sorry, man. He was actually listening to the recording and writing out all the notes, note by note. Hope you got them all right, man. Yeah, this is music, that's right. You're in the right spot too, right next to him. We really do want to say thank you for coming out tonight, and hopefully we'll do this again. This is great fun. I have been talking, David has been my friend for 25 years, and we'll play on jobs and travel for hours and hours and hours to get to some place, and when we talk, we listen to music like this, and think, gosh, I really wish we had a place to play this, and I've never gotten to play it, and so I'm living out my little Walter Mitty fantasy here, and thank you for allowing it. Yeah, it doesn't take much, but this is it. I love this music, and I hope you do too. We're going to play one more song, is this right? Is this two more songs? No, one more song. Oh, yeah, that's an encore, but they don't know that. We're going to play one more song. And this is a famous tune I think everybody knows, Bill Bailey. And, see, you know. And hope that if you feel like singing along, go right ahead, and we have some dancing area up here too. Just don't break a hip or fall down. That's all we ask. Here we go. That's all we got. Just joking. I gotta talk though, because my chops are just shot. Anybody out here play the trumpet? Yeah, we're figuring this out. Nothing about the staff. Yeah, we're figuring this out. We're over rehearsed again, and got the words right. There's the microphone over there when we get to the singing part. You got to turn it on, man. I don't know. On the side, push it up. There you go. It'll feed back. That's when you know it's on. That's right. Sure. All right, the last tune we're going to do for you, and I mean this is it. Thank you for coming out to our comedy show tonight. Last show we're going to do is in honor of my cat, the Tiger Rag. Cat's name is Tick. The Hot Sevens, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. And if you don't mind, make sure to come back next week. Get here early. It's going to be a great concert and a big crowd. Thanks again so much. Have a great week. Stay dry.